Next experimentation, that is the force analysis of a 7-cylinder radial engine. We are calling it this is an engine which we have got from scrap. It is a damaged aircraft engine here, but this is working fine here. Right? What we are having is that we are calling it a radial engine because it's a 7-cylinder, and all cylinder, if you take a center line of this cylinder, center line of this cylinder, right? Divide 360 divided by 7, right, will give you the distance, angular distance between each radial engine here, right? So you see that in an aircraft, this is a small aircraft engine here, right? So what we are having is that it's a common crank here, right? And they are arranged into a radial direction here. So we are giving a crank to a certain rotation here, like this here, right? And you have to see that onto each cylinder here, cutout section is there. You can see the movement of the piston here, right? So for each piston here, we can determine the displacement of the pistons here, right? Which we can note down, right? And from these values here, right, depending upon the available data here, right, depending upon the different angular orientation of this crank, right, and also the other dimensions as far as the connecting rod and other things are concerned, right, you have to find out the inertia torque from the theoretical relations which we have given into the instruction sheet. This is all which you are supposed to do in this experimentation, and we will be giving you the instruction sheet, and you can make the theoretical calculations, right? And as done in the earlier sheets here, you give us the learning outcomes, right? And any possible sources of errors and the modification thereof, right? Thank you very much.
In the previous video, we have 7 cylinders and all these cylinders are arranged radially, right? So these cylinders are arranged in such a way that the displacement point are different for all the 7 cylinders. So what you can see is, for a particular position for my output shaft, you can see that the displacement in each engine is different. So how it is possible? It is possible only if the firing order for each cylinder is different. What is firing order? When the fuel is injected in the cylinder and there will be some spark by the spark plug, and the timing of the spark will be in such a way that the resultant power output will be on a single shaft. So let us say for this particular position of my output shaft, you can see that this cylinder, for this cylinder, the ignition has not started yet. This is my cylinder 2, you can see that all the cylinders has markings. This is cylinder 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and like this 5, 6 and 7. 7 cylinders are there. Cylinder 1 has not started the ignition yet. Cylinder 2 also in the this idle state. Cylinder 3, ignition has started and it is moving to the VDC, bottom dead center. Again, cylinder 4 is already in the VDC. Cylinder 5 is already in the VDC. Cylinder 6 is moving back to the top dead center, that is TDC, and cylinder 7 is about to reach the TDC. So what we will be doing? We have this output shaft and we have marked angles on this shaft from 0 to 360 with the interval 10, 10, 10, like 10, 20, 30. So what we will be doing, I will be plotting a curve, and I will be, for each 10-degree rotation of the crankshaft, I will be observing the displacement in the radial engines. So let's come back to the board, and I will be plotting a curve like this. In the first column, I will be putting my crankshaft rotation angle, that is theta, In the first column of the table, there will be the position x1 that will be corresponding to the displacement of the first radial engine. Now, x2 position of the second radial engine, x3, and similarly I will be noting down the position of all seven engines. So let's do it. Start with 0. For 0 degree, let's read some displacement. On engine 1, my displacement is currently, this is 10.1. 10.1. On engine 2, this is 10.3. So like this, I will note down for all the 7 cylinders for a particular angle. Now I will increase this angle to 30 degree. I will rotate my crankshaft by 30 degree in clockwise direction, and you can see that the displacements are changed in all the 7 cylinders. So now again I will note it and I will write the values in my table. So I will be doing it for all 360 degrees. Now, once my table is completed, I will be plotting a curve to analyze the firing order of the cylinders. First, on x-axis, I will be marking my angles 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. On this y-axis, I will be marking the displacement. So, there will be two types of displacement. One will be above the scale, below the scale. So let us say for my cylinder 1, so let us say piston 1, the plotted curve will be something like this. So this is my x1. In the same way, we will draw it for x2, x3, x4, x5. So similarly, for all 7 cylinders, I will be plotting a curve and I will be observing the position and displacement for my pistons for each position of the crankshaft rotation. This will be the first part. In the second part, what we have to do is, we have to calculate the inertial torque. So in your lab manual, there is a formula given for the inertial torque Ti. So this is the formula. In this formula, this Mr is the mass of my reciprocating piston, right? So the mass is already calculated and it is given in your lab manual, that is 1.2 kg. Second is R. This R is already there. Third one is omega. I will just assume it that I am rotating this crankshaft with a uniform angular velocity, which is 1. So omega we will assume as 1. Theta we already have like 0, 10, 30, 0, 30, 60, 90, and the last parameter is N. N is the ratio of length of the connecting rod and crank radius, L by R. So L we already have, R we already have, right? So you can calculate Ti, the value of Ti for all these angles, and at the end, once this table is completed, you can plot one more curve, and this time the curve will be between Ti, that is inertial torque, and theta. So the curve will be something like this. So here we can analyze that for the angular moment of the crankshaft rotation, how my inertial torque will vary in the engine. So this will be the second curve, and after this it will be the end of the experiment. Thank you.